Hi everybody, it's Nick. It's finally dry enough that I can actually get out on the fields without having to swim through the fields, which is a great sign. I wanted to talk a bit more about menopause today. You may or may not know that on, I think it was Saturday, I had a really what I would call bad menopause day, and I wrote an article about it. And I wrote the article while I was in the moment, while I was feeling all of the feelings that come when the only way I can describe it is the tsunami of feelings overwhelm you, and you are so raw and vulnerable and anxious and feeling of worthless, sadness, very low self-esteem. Now, I wrote it at the moment because, I want to try and articulate, and I want to try and put it out there what it feels like, because I think if it's left sat in your head, it can do a lot of damage. But now I'm looking back on it 48 hours later, I've realised that we learn from the good times and the bad times. And one of the things that I think menopause does do for us, and I don't want to not learn from this, is it takes away any contingency we've had. So any plastering over the cracks, any comfort zone we've had to help us cope with trauma, the prints that life lead on us, the hurt, disappointment, low self-esteem, etc. Things we might have avoided. For me, I found menopause takes all of that away, and it is just like life is in vivid technicolor, Now, part of the problem is when those dips come, it's like the menopause is opening all of these doors to all of these different aspects of me, some of which I deal with, some of which I don't, some of which I don't even know about, and it's too much at once. And that is why, for me, it's really important that I manage my menopause, not just because of the emotional roller coaster, but also because of the exhaustion. And life goes on. I can't just lay on the sofa every day. So, just as an aside, I do use HRT. I have medication to manage my insulin resistance, and I also take some vitamin supplements. And I'm quite strict in terms of a cleaner diet, in terms of I eat probably less processed and heavy food than I used to. I'm not vegetarian, but I definitely eat more like a vegetarian now. I digress slightly, but one of the things that occurred to me is there is something good that comes out of it, and that is that all of those feelings that I had on Saturday, they didn't come from nowhere. Some things have happened, some beliefs, some narratives, some events, things have happened over the years, and those things, they weren't things I was born with, and they're still, kind of feels like they're still open wounds that need dealing with. Now, I can't do it all at once, so it's massively important that I have help with my menopause, because otherwise it's just too debilitating. And I think that's probably true for a lot of women. And yes, I do get frustrated because I don't think women are getting anywhere near the level of support and help that they really need. And part of that's because it's complex, it's very individual, very unique, there's no one size fits all. And also, it's a bloody minefield out there. I mean, you start reading up on what to take, where do you start? Somebody will say, use this, somebody else will say, use this. Like anything, you've got to find what your answer is and the thing that works for you. But I also think there's something around, I'm doing quite a lot of work, if I'm honest, with counselling and with healing, because the stuff that the menopause is revealing, for better or worse, has come from somewhere. And the thing that I'm finding is that it hasn't come from, the people that my husband and my family that I now live my life with, but they are having to manage, the consequences of it. So, I do have a responsibility, I guess, to myself to be able to, look at the menopause, look at what it's showing me. I mean, at its heart, it's a transition. I'm transitioning to what was historically known as the crone phase. And that is a period of reflection and wisdom and self-learning and becoming a teacher. But, I believe if you're going to be a teacher, you've got to be a really good student too. So, I guess the point to this is to say the menopause is difficult physically and it can make you feel rough. But it's in some of those dark times that it's showing us things that we really need to take note of, and we really need to see, because I know that it's brought up some really old traumas and pain and cuts that I didn't even know were there, and I'd shut them away so tightly. And that is a positive that I can take from this, that, you know, it is revealing those cracks to me. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the menopause today. And the great news is, by managing my menopause with what I do find is that the dips are much shorter. So actually, it was horrendous on Saturday. There's no other way to describe it. That's not a self-pity thing, it's just a fact. I was completely overwhelmed. My cognitive skills were shot to bits. I felt shit. That's all there is to say about it. And taking the Taoism approach, the Weng Wei, I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Sometimes the answer is to do nothing. And Saturday was definitely just a case of sitting and going with the flow and letting it pass. But because it's managed, it did pass, and it passed within 24 hours. And before I got the right support, I could have felt like that for weeks, if not months. And that's where we can't leave people sat. Because if you're sat there, you don't then get the chance to look back on it and reflect and go, what can I learn from that? What can I take from that? You know, which bits of me need healing? What do I do? You know, it's like running a marathon. You're forever running the marathon and there's no finish line. And that's why the menopause for me needs the support and the management. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to look at the underlying issues. It's about balancing the two. I hope that's of help. It's a little bit around the houses, but it was just the thought in my mind today that I hope it's of help to somebody. Take care. Bye.